When I was a kid, and that was a long time ago, I'm almost 80, I wanted to buy a racing bike. It was a bad time. The country had been devastated by the war, people were short of money, and there wasn't much to buy anyway. It was a time of make do and mend, and no one wasted anything. Food was in short supply. Most people would grow some of their own food and did not throw any leftover food stuff away. And we all had a compost pile in the back garden. There was no such thing as wasted food. It was all recycled. But I really wanted that racing bike. To get the money, I worked on a local farm. It was not a very nice job, mainly shoveling shit and digging big holes to bury dead animals. But it did teach me one thing, the importance of living soil. Where I buried the shit, the compost and the dead animals, the plants grew so much better. Little patches of extra bright green which just stood out from the rest. At that time, I just thought it was the extra nutrients, but I began to realise there was more to it than that. If it was simply the extra nutrients, the bright green would have soon passed away. But they didn't. They stayed extra green for years. The soil was also different. It had a really nice texture, smooth and crumbly. And all that shit, compost and dead animals was doing something special to the soil. At that time, no one really understood about soil biology. Bugs were bad, that made you sick. At that time, all kids got sick with what they called childhood diseases, chickenpox, mumps, measles, etc. The way people thought about these diseases was totally different to today. If a local kid got sick, our mums would take us all to a chickenpox party, so we got infected. The idea was that a kid would soon get over it, and they would never get it again. But if you missed out as a kid, then these diseases could be really serious, so it was better to get over it and done with. Times were very different then. But there was a bright side. If you talked about non-infectious diseases, people would look at you as though you had gone stupid. Diabetes? What's that? Obesity? A disease? Most people were slim and lean. True, there were some fat people, basically older ladies, but they were just fat. But they were still healthy and lived to a ripe old age. Diabetes, obesity, dementia. It simply wasn't an issue back then. Things have changed. But infection, that was an issue. Many people died from infection, or accidents of war, and never reached old age. Bugs were bad, and if you talked about good bugs, then you should be locked up in an institution. You were dangerous. But it was a terrible, terrible mistake, which is now really a big issue. Medical science has made major strides in fighting infectious diseases, with more and more people living through to old age. So the average age of death crept steadily upwards. Everything was fine and dandy, except it wasn't. We just didn't understand that the good bugs were vital, and we simply replaced infectious diseases with non-infectious diseases. And now the average age of death is going down, not up. We're actually dying younger, but worse. When I was a kid, those that survived were generally pretty healthy until they died. But now most people may be surviving to an older age, but are far from fit and healthy. The problem is our food. It's not that we are eating vastly different food to what people were eating then. When I was a kid, we were eating cakes and sugary things way back then. Our food has not changed dramatically. It is simply that we grow food in soil which is dead and devoid of nutrients. Science is gradually putting the picture together, but biology and nature are complex and not easily understood. But what we are learning is that good bugs in our guts act as a control system and regulate how our bodies work. We don't get fat and diabetic simply because we eat too much or the wrong sort of food. Rather, we screw up our guts, our intelligent control system, which goes into panic mode, so we pile on the fat and choke up our vital organs with fat so that we become diabetic. So because our bodies are piling on the fat, we feel hungry, and sooner or later stuff in the food to satisfy our hunger. So, how we look after our intelligent control system, our guts. There's no magic. We've been doing it for millions of years. Eat food, or animals which eat food, which grow in living soil, which is biologically active and full of the trace minerals which are essential for health, the phytonutrients. But it is more serious than even that. Our modern chemical industrial farming system is destroying our soils. The experts estimate that we've only 60 years left of viable soil. Worry about climate change? This is nothing compared to the way we are destroying our soils. And what can we do about it? Well, it is already happening. People across the globe are recognising the need for living soil. It is the regenerative agricultural movement. This website has two aims. The first is to provide a forum where people, not just me, can blog and chat about food for health. Food for health is a community issue, and communities need a forum to discuss these important issues. The second is to link people who understand the importance of food for health and want to buy food from regenerative farmers. So, join the Food for Health community. Oh, I did get my racing bike.